All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Horticulture Corner, Houseplants and Health with Talitha Smith-Greene from Rooted with Love. We're so happy to have you here today. My name is Denise Reagan. I'm the Executive Director of the Garden Club of Jacksonville, and I'm here with my colleague, Danielle Stark, our Operations Manager, who is running a lot of the technical things behind the scenes of this program. And we're so happy to have him here to do that and many, many other things. I'd like to thank the JESSIE PONT Fund for making hybrid programs like this one possible with a generous grant. I'd also like to thank Wally Eriks, our Horticulture Corner Chair, who checked you in tonight. Wave, Wally. And this is my plug because I would not be allowed to be the Executive Director of the Garden Club if I didn't make a plug for membership. So please, if you're not a member of the Garden Club, think about it. Look up all the benefits of being a member at the table that you checked in at. And this is an exciting new thing. We are trying some QR codes today. So if you are on Zoom or you're here in person, you can scan this QR code. We also happen to have one at the desk where you checked in, and it'll take you right to the membership page where you can learn more about membership. Also, the Garden Club is very excited this year to be organizing the Jacksonville Agricultural Fair Horticulture Show, which is quite a mouthful. If you've not been to the fair in a while, it was of course canceled last year because of COVID, but it's back and better than ever this year. And the Horticulture Show is something that the Garden Club has never been able to be a part of before, but we are now. And so we are organizing it. We have an amazing group of plants. In fact, the last people are entering their plants right at this moment down at the fairgrounds. It's open till 8, so I'm sorry, you're probably not going to make it if you have a plant that you want to enter at the last minute. But it's going to be really amazing. There are some gigantic plants. So you should come down, check out the horticulture show along with all the rides and of course the food, because it's not a fair without fair food. So check it out. And those of you at home, we're putting some links on the website for you to check it out. All right, now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Talitha Smith-Greene. Talitha, yes, clap, it's perfectly fine. All encouragement is definitely encouraged. Talitha is the owner of Rooted with Love, located on Arlington Expressway across from Regency Square Mall, my old stomping grounds. Smith-Greene grew up in Jamaica, surrounded by lush greenery that ingrained in her a love for all kinds of plants. Rooted with Love is a positive space for plant lovers that offers all the plants you need for your indoor jungle, along with fun workshops and consultations. And you're going to learn a lot more about her journey with plants in just a moment. If you have questions, please keep them until the end of the program. If you're on Zoom, you can put them in the chat. And if you're here in person, we have a microphone for you because we want to capture your questions on the recording. All right. So with that, I hand it over to Talitha Smith-Greene.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight and supporting me and the lovely Garden Club. So Rooted with Love, we'll start there and how it began. I think a green thumb goes far beyond a hobby. Rooted with Love was bred out of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It was a very little space that was empty for a while, and we needed to do something with it. And my love for plants kind of drew me into that. I wanted to create a safe space for everyone, a vibe that was just about relaxing and learning and being supportive of the community. Arlington does not have a lot of things going on right now, and I wanted to make sure that that was something that shined. Carrying all of our vendors were local women-owned businesses. So we have a beautiful community that we've cultivated. And yeah, so I really want to talk tonight about just the benefits, the mental and physical benefits of gardening, indoor gardening specifically. We are coming into the winter. And Rooted with Love specializes in premium indoor plants. So that is my specialty. Since the beginning of time, we can go back to Florence Nightingale. There have been many therapeutic avenues for horticulture. In the Philippines, they actually have programs that are directed to therapeutic horticulture. It is a wide range for many different types of rehabilitations, whether it's a prison, whether it is just somewhere for someone for counseling. There's always a benefit. You don't actually even have to be planting. Just being in a room filled with plants will change your mood. It will help in healing. It will, and these are all scientifically proven facts. So coming back to nature is something that benefits us in so many different ways. The visual exposure, again, just being in the room. I know some people here have been to Rooted with Love. Once you walk in, it's kind of like you're transported. Even some of the other local stores here, it just envelopes you in peace. The air is clear. We do know that having plants in your home, I have a lot of asthmatic clients that we've specifically picked certain plants for to help them with that in their home. I mean, an air purifier is great, but why not have something natural? Going back to the rehabilitation programs, it doesn't matter your level of mobility. You can pull up to a table, and grounding is the art of just kind of like getting into the dirt, whether it's with your hands, your feet, your body, laying in the grass, whatever. So imagine taking a plant and repotting it and just having that moment with that plant. You are getting ready to cultivate and have this plant be your own, and you get to watch it grow. Inside of our brains, that triggers gratification. When we see something bloom, that's even more gratifying. There are tons of plants that actually have blooms, and some of them don't, but there's still that same mental trigger. There's different forms of planting. I think was it on the slide there? There's different aspects that we need in order to thrive in planting, and it's usually our lighting, our temperatures, and our moisture levels. Indoor planting can be a little bit tricky because lighting, we don't all have all of these beautiful windows, so that's where we bring in some artificial light. I think I hear countless people say that, oh, I kill all my plants, I can't do this. Everyone is capable of being a plant parent. That is something that I strongly believe. All you need is the right tools, and you can definitely thrive. It's not as hard as people make it seem. And again, the gratification from keeping those plants thriving is beyond measure. I think with the pandemic, this has been, well, it has turned into a multi-billion-dollar business. We see that there are tons of shops popping up. There's pop-ups that have plant pop-ups. I mean, we're everywhere, and it has become so beneficial to so many people. I know for myself personally, it started out as my healing journey after a very traumatic experience. I kind of dove into wandering around nurseries, planting, just really getting back to earth and kind of straying away from social media and just getting away to that peaceful moment of just being able to cultivate something that's going to give me, whether it's a flower or just new growth or what have you, that's gratification. I personally love hydroponics. You get to see all of the roots growing. You are actually part of the process. You have created this from one little propagation, and now you have something that's thriving. So it's, again, triggers gratification inside of us. So it's definitely something, I mean, there's tons of drugs, there's tons of things that we can turn to be happier and whatnot, but why not try something that could be, whether it's a hobby or you're new to it, but it can bring you that healing. I'm a very big believer in growing through what you go through. It has been my mantra. It has been a source of just strength. You can take the littlest plant, the biggest plant, and again, you see it thrive, and it is a product of your care. Again, there's hospitals, and of course, we don't see this every day. We're not there in wherever that wing is of the hospital where they're rehabilitating patients through horticulture. Having them go and take that plant. There's a psychologist that had a very traumatic patient. She had a lot of stuff going on, and she asked her to buy a plant. And that plant became the focus of their therapy. How are you making this thrive? How are you thriving? How are you pairing yourself with the growth of this plant? Are you growing as well? So you can just, you can take so many different aspects from horticulture and incorporate it into different moments of life, whether it is a trauma, whether it's just happiness, whether it's a hobby. It's something that we all can benefit from. There's jails. Hopefully none of us ever go there, but they do use horticulture as another mechanism to keep peace. You're gardening, you're growing fruits, you're growing vegetables. It's not only a life skill, it's helping benefit that population. Again, back to the hospitals. Your hands, something happens, you can go to physical therapy, you can do all sorts of stuff, but range of motion while you're doing planting and things like that, it's low impact unless you're lifting like 100-pound plants, which my colleague here, Nikki, has helped me do. There's so many different aspects of it that you can benefit from it all. When you go outside and you do yard work for a Saturday, do you not come back inside and you are in a little bit of pain the next day? It's definitely a physical factor. My hands usually hurt a little bit from pulling weeds, but it's that mobility. It's keeping you moving, and it's nothing that you even realize. It's not like you're at the gym. This is your home. This is gratifying because you're making it more beautiful, and you are reaping the benefits physically. So when I talk about mental health and physical benefits, I always think of the gratification that comes from cultivating your space, your garden. And again, even if you don't have a green thumb, I was telling you earlier, people DM me and send me pictures of dead plants, half dead plants, all different types of plants. And there's always a way to either start over. I mean, plants are like people. They are definitely 100% like people. So it's about finding what they like and, just nurturing that thing. It's not exactly like having a child because they are not as unruly, but you can definitely take it on as that project that you're nurturing and making it thrive and come to life. And there's so many different aspects of it just that you can educate yourself on in order to make that your end goal and to have a beautiful garden, to have a beautiful, whether it's vegetables or house plants or anything, flowers, what have you. It's definitely just successful. And who doesn't want all those good endorphins? Like, that is something that we all want. We want to have a good day. We want to have great experiences. We want to laugh. And I think that having the opportunity to be a part of this world with plants gives you all of those things, but more on a personal and individual level, because you are the one that's got to cultivate and really take care of that plant. And once it starts to thrive, I mean, we all take pictures of our plants. I mean, do you not? I love showing my friends. I mean, my friends show me their pictures. Oh my gosh, look, there's a new leaf. So it's almost a celebratory moment. I mean, we have been on lockdown. We have been through this pandemic. And for a lot of us, I've seen this personally. I mean, this is something that has made people feel like they're accomplishing something. It's something to be able to step away and thrive off of, because we are working from home. we have to have some type of space that is our own, because we have melded those two worlds together, and it has become hard to separate that. So at least having the plants, I know every Saturday morning I wake up, that's watering day, and I prune, I water, I dote, I zen. It's a moment to just step away from everything else and cultivate my garden and make sure that it's thriving and it brings gratification. So, yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, so I
Comments?
hear plants are the new pets.
They are, and they're so, I feel like people don't realize how easy it is. A lot of people are apprehensive. A lot of people think that it's so complicated, but a pet is much more complicated and much more needy. You water a plant once a week. If it's a cactus or some type of succulent, even less, but you reap so many benefits from it. I mean, some of these plants have growth on them that's like unbelievable. We've had plants in the store that are just so unique and beautiful. And you just wonder what, like, how did nature do this? Like, how is this even happening? And you get to be a part of that. You get to make it grow and you get to show it off. I mean, it is definitely the new pet. It's been a hobby that has definitely made my life better. Like I said, Rooted with Love came out of a very traumatic experience, and I definitely can 100% attest to the healing and the growth that just cultivating that whole environment of the shop and being able to, from doing inventory, I mean, that is a labor of love. That is something that I do not wish upon anybody because it is grueling. It is hot. Those grow houses are no joke, but it's also gratifying. Once you get everything back and set it out and you see all of this beautiful foliage, like it is the best feeling in the world just to see all of that. I know there's there's downfalls. I know we can talk about pests and we can talk about things of that nature, but that's life. Like pets get fleas. Plants get spider mites. We can fix it. It's not a problem. And again, plants have life cycles. It's nothing to, I always tell people, do not get down or deterred from being a plant parent, to continue being a plant parent. Even if you've killed a plant, you can do it again. Like you can thrive. I had a client that literally was at the grand opening, bought a bunch of plants. And a few weeks later, she sent me a picture of them and they were all dead. So I said, you know something, let's try something different. So there are plants for everybody. Not every plant is for every plant parent. You do find your niche. Just like, you know, you might want a Doberman, you might want a Chihuahua, you might want a golden retriever. There's such a large variety of plants that we could all be successful and benefit from that.
Well, while the folks, pardon me, while the folks in the room start thinking of the questions that they want to have and maybe wander up toward the microphone, I have a couple of questions for you. One is, do you have a couple of favorites? I would not say a favorite because that would be wrong, but a couple of favorites or favorites right now of your various plants. Like what are you crushing on right now?
That is probably the hardest question. I love anything variegated. There's a variegated prickly pear back there, and those are just, to me, amazing. Like just seeing the marbling and the design on it, that's one of my like, wow, like this is like grew from the ground. Like, how did this happen? There's other things that intrigue me about plants as well. I mean, some of them are genetically made, like some of them are just accidents. But as far as a favorite, I would say the variegated prickly pear right now. I do love that. And all my hydroponics, I am like in love with that. put hydroponics by a window and tell me that you're not like, it's like the chandeliers. It's just like beautiful once the lights hit, see all the roots. It's just so gratifying. It's insane.
So speaking of which, are there some plants that one you would say have maybe some of the most health benefits? And then there's some plants, the second part, that are a good place to start? Like if you are just getting into plant parenthood, what would you recommend?
Okay, so a good old pothos is a great starter plant. This plant will grow and grow and grow. You break a piece off, you can propagate it in water. You can put it back in the soil. It is easy. It does not give you any heartache. Yet leaves get yellow, pull them off, no big deal. Pruning is easy, once a week water, great. I do not ever suggest new plant parents to get any type of calathea. They are temperamental. There are plants that we go into the grounds of kind of like humidifiers, and we have a giant begonia that thrives. Like if you don't give her humidifier, she's just like very sad. So definitely to start, pothos, snake plants, they thrive in the dark. They have babies in the dark. So if you kill those, then we need to talk and have a one-on-one, because I have had some that have not had water in forever and they are still having babies. They are the old school. I know my grandmother had them in her yard. I have them in my yard. There's a bantel back there that's variegated. That's for indoor, of course. But the snake plant, you cannot go wrong with that, and a good old pothos. When we go into some of the other species, the ficus, everybody loves like the new, like the Audreys and the fiddle leaf figs. We see all of those on Instagram, and but they come with care. Those are the fiddle leaf. You always see the meme of people shaking them. It's real. Like you need to shake the tree, and you need to carefully clean the leaves. So it just depends on what level of hands-on like care that you're ready to give. So it's best to just start small and then you kind of move up. I've had people just start, like I had a husband and wife, and they started with one like just basic plant, and now they are like everything is in leca, and they have rare plants, and it just snowballed. It becomes an addiction sometimes, so you have to be careful. If you saw my house right now, you would think you were in Jumanji, but everybody's different. Some people have control, some people don't.
All right, we have a question here in the audience.
Sure.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Better.
I feel like I need to confess first. I have killed a snake plant. So
Shame.
yes,
No.
it was inside. The ones outside are doing fine.
Yeah.
The ones I don't touch are fine. So, I was hoping to get an idea of, is there sort of a basic checklist you go through if you start noticing one of your plants is starting to wilt or not do well? Are there certain things that you check first before you just give up on
Trashing it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I've thrown many plants over the fence. So yes, so definitely you need to keep an eye on your moisture and watering. I say once a week because that's just a basic overall safe strategy. Are we talking specifically about the snake plants or just other plants in general?
I've had several plants that have died, so I'm just thinking one of those.
The truth is coming out.
Yeah, member of the garden club, and I've killed a lot of plants. So
That's fine. That's fine. But you're trying. So yellow leaves, when you see yellow leaves, get rid of them. If there's one that's gradually yellowing, you can leave it for a little bit, because what's happening is the rest of the plant is pulling the nutrients back into it. So that leaf will die and fall off eventually, but just cut it off so that it doesn't take away from what the rest of the plant needs. We were talking earlier about soil. A lot of times we go out, we buy a bag of Miracle Grow or whatever it is, and we plant our plant in it. And then you look at it in a month and you notice that, gosh, like the soil is compacted. It looks like a brick and it's just not holding the water. It's not healthy. So it is very important to know that once you buy soil, you need to add stuff to it. Perlite, bark. The perlite holds the moisture for you. Fish farms, I love that soil because it has a lot of great nutrients, because then there's fertilizing. You don't want to over fertilize because that can cause yellowing as well. So definitely picking a good soil mixture will help to prevent further problems. But like I said, you see a yellow leaf, don't be afraid to chop that off. Like, even if you only have 2 leaves left, get rid of all the yellow, make sure your moisture is good. Again, take one of my cards. If you DM me, send me a picture. We will troubleshoot before you trash the plant.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's great. Thank you. By the way, we've had a couple of rings. So if your phone is not turned to silent, please take a moment to make sure that happens so that we're not interrupted in the future. All right, I'm going to take a question on here and then we'll go straight to you. I have a few plants that need to be repotted. Is it okay to repot them now or should I wait until spring? Says Sheila.
So right now, like we were talking about earlier, is not the best time to repot. Our temperature is starting to change. And for me, even when I repot, I try not to disturb the roots too much. I know we'll see like people like digging off all the soil. I do that if the soil is no good. But right now is probably not the best time, especially if it's like a plant like on the porch or something of that nature. I always wait till spring when there's more consistency of warmth and a little bit less of a margin of root shock.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
This year I had a huge problem with fungus gnats, and I've never had that issue with my plants. So everything got moved outside because I just couldn't get rid of them or control them in the house. So now need to bring my babies back inside.
Definitely.
And so is there any, and I from listening to what you're saying, I should not change their soil and repot them because it's just not.
I would not repot them right
Okay.
now
Okay.
because of the cold. Definitely though, bottom watering helps with the fungus gnats.
Mhm.
There are pesticides that are safe, they're food grade, that you can use. If you DM me, I'll give you a couple names.
Okay.
Everybody talks about neem oil and the benefits of it. Just having a plant shop on this scale, it's not conducive to what we're trying to accomplish. And even at home, there are other things that you can use that cover a broader spectrum. And I believe in pre-treating. Like whenever we bring in inventory, we pre-treat all the plants because we don't want the gnats. 1 or 2 is fine. I mean, I see them at home sometimes, even when I'm bottom watering, but you don't want to give them any space to thrive
Oh, no, they were
extra.
thriving. The wall was black.
Yeah.
I had to move them all.
But you don't want to
outside.
like create like a fungus gnat community.
It was.
So
And that's the first time I've ever had that issue.
this year,
With
for
my
some reason, it
plants.
was really bad.
Yeah.
This year was very bad for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe because everybody has plants. They're like thriving. Also, the yellow sticky paper, if you have your plants, like we stick them underneath a table or a shelf, somewhere where you can't see, but that the gnats are going to get caught on. That helps as well. And you can find that on Amazon really cheap.
Okay. What are your thoughts about applying a layer of sand on top of the soil? I've had people tell me that it's not a good, medium for the gnats and their larvae because it's sand. So, I mean, do you have any experience with?
I do
that?
not love sandy soil. What we do sometimes is put decorative rocks
Okay.
on top, and that kind of helps. But again, if you're giving any type of moisture that's sitting on the top of the plant, It's giving them a place to thrive. If you bottom water, the water is going up into the roots and that's where it stops.
Okay.
Like you are not giving them so much of an environment to thrive.
Okay.
But there are sprays that you can just treat your plants and that will definitely help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
definitely take a card.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So talk a little bit about bottom watering. Tell me what the process is for doing that. Just there may be some people who are not familiar.
So bottom watering is, for this scale of a shop, was very difficult, but it is the best thing to do. So, you know, the trays that they sell them at the dollar store, they sell them everywhere. Amazon has great deals. So you take those trays, you sit your plant in the tray, you let it soak up the water, you leave it there till you see that the soil is moist, and you're done. And that's it. You're not just like pouring water on top of it and hoping that all of it stays in, because it just all drains out. At least bottom watering, the plant will only take as much as it needs. I also fertilize this way. I also treat for the fungus gnats this way. I drop a little bit of the solution in the water, let it soak up, kills the pests or anything that it prevents anything that could possibly go on. A lot of people, there's mixed feelings about bottom watering, but that's my preference. And it's basically just like, you can even fill up a sink, a bathtub. It's just to set your plant in that medium and let it soak up what it needs and then let it be.
Great.
Kind of helps with overwatering too. Yeah.
All right, we have a question on Zoom. A few of the shoots on my snake plant are falling over sideways. Suggestions?
Are they longer than the rest of the shoots?
We'll have to find out. So we might have to come back to that.
So, okay. That could be from lack of light. That plant may want more light. Some of them
They
will
are among
thrive.
the longest, Sheila says.
They're the longest ones.
Mhm.
You probably want to get rid of them, because what happens with the snake plants, and I have a Sayuri that's doing this right now, they get like, you'll see the healthy part of the plant, and then you'll see like just these really long floppy pieces. And that's due to those pieces not getting the light that it needs, and they just kind of not thrive. So it's fine to cut them off. They'll definitely it'll grow more.
All right. Help for your snake plant, Sheila. Looks like maybe we have another question from Daniel.
I do. So I've got a Monstera plant at home, and there's a stalk on it that's growing to the side,
Okay.
and it's causing the whole pot to like want to tip over. And if it goes much farther, it's going to just like fall over. So I don't know whether I should cut it or try to like tie it up, or.
So you can either moss pole it. You can, if that piece has an aerial root, you can propagate it. You can put that in water and have a whole separate plant come to life. Or you can repot and kind of like shift it so that it's all in the pot. There's a couple things that you could do, but I personally, when they start to get like that, if it has an aerial root, that's a propagation.
Moss pull?
A moss pole. So that would be the poles that you put like in the middle or maybe to the back, and then you secure the plant to it so that it supports it. So it's not flopping over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good to know. I feel like we have some plants here that we need a house call from Talitha, Dr. Talitha.
Just tell me. I'll come help. I have no problem. I love doing that.
Go right ahead.
Hello, I have a monstera as well. And it's getting like taller than I guess the pot. And
Mhm.
so some of the roots are growing out. Should I cut those or leave them how they are?
It sounds like you do need to repot. Monsteras have aerial roots, and those roots, when you propagate, they will grow in water. But if you're wanting to keep it in a pot, you can cut and put that in soil, or you can get a bigger pot and just make sure that those roots are covered.
Okay, so those brown roots that are coming out, I can just cut those or,
You don't have to cut them. You can literally make a new plant out of that.
okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, propagation is one of the coolest things.
I think it's so
and,
cool.
For those of us who are not gardeners by trade, there is a sort of a miracle part of it. And one of my favorite stories, it's not necessarily a plant story, but it's from the Avengers and from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Groot, everybody familiar with Groot?
Yes.
That's the story of propagation right there. And
Sure.
I love like, and I love telling kids that because they're like, what?
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can literally have one plant that can bring you. So I have a syngonium, a pink syngonium that started big. I propagated it out, and now it is like probably like this big. So I have to start propagating it again. I mean, it just goes on forever. And that's part of it. I mean, share your propagation, share with your friends. That's how I got like a lot of my friends into plants. I was like, here, try this. And it works.
Hello. I have a question about the bottom watering. How long should you leave the pot in the water? I do orchids and somebody told me I should let them soak for at least 20 to 30 minutes once a week.
Definitely.
And that just seems to me like it's going to get too much water. It's going to draw too much water up into it.
It's not going to take more water than it needs.
Okay.
When you bottom water, like some of these, if I fill up the tray and I set it down for 20 or 30 minutes and I take it out, there's still water in the tray.
Okay.
So you can tell, and then you'll tell by the weight. You know your plants need water when their pots are super dry. Like that is a huge indicator of a problem. But once you bottom water it, it's only going to take what it needs.
Okay, so it's okay to leave it in there because unfortunately one day I forgot about it and I left it there probably overnight, and I'm thinking, okay, I've killed it, but it didn't harm it.
Right.
Well, it appears at this point it did not harm
Yeah,
it.
because you have to think, if you pour the water from the top
It's
and
gonna
it just
all run
drains
Yeah.
out, the water that's there, if you have something to catch it, the plant will soak some of it back up.
Okay.
But if you just let it sit in the bottom, like it's so much less effort to just let it sit, take what it needs and walk away
Okay.
and then be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have one other question now, like the other lady, I have to admit this, I'm a mum killer. No matter where I put them, how much water I give them, how much light, they never bloom. And in a week, 2 weeks, they're dead. And I swore I was not going to buy one this year. But then of course I went and saw how beautiful they were, and same thing. I just tossed it because it just dried up and all the buds just drew up.
Drew up. Yeah. And I mean, I have a confession. I cannot grow herbs. Basil, as soon as I look at it, it dies. If I don't use all of it to cook, it's dead. Like I have tried so many times. I mean, there's certain plants that maybe just is not the plant for you. That's
Okay.
how I look at it,
Well, I'm not
because
gonna
I
kill
do
any
that
more.
all the time.
Okay. well, that-
Succulents,
I'm
I
glad-
kill them.
Yeah, me too.
I kill succulents.
I can't take that concept, don't ever water this. So, let me.
I'm
leave it
doing better
alone.
though. So if you're like me and you want to keep trying, just keep killing them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Practice makes perfect,
Well, being a mom killer is better than being a mom killer.
right?
So I
There's
mean,
lots of worse things out there. Hello.
I have a chronic cough and asthma. You mentioned something before. Are there certain plants that are better?
Yeah.
And
Snake plants, pothos, spider plants, all of the indoor plants are going to help you. So having the shop and having all these plants in there, you can see like from one day to the next, we've had dinners in there and we've had seafood. The next day, you would never know that there was food in the place. The soil and the plant within 12 hours will purify the air. So it's not only the plant, but the soil that's kind of filtering out all the bad stuff. So you can't go wrong with having plants in the house. It definitely changes the air quality.
all right. Any other questions? All right. So what is the plant that you are dying, not, that's a really bad word to use, dying to work with. But like, what's the plant, like, what's your ambition plant? The plant that you really like want to take on?
It's funny because I know that rare plants are like such a big fad right now, but I just have no desire. Like, I love to go into the nursery, the grow houses, and see like that this plant has merged with like a pearl and jade. I like all of the reject plants. I like all the plants that are different. I would love to have like a really beautiful differembachia. I've been having a lot of trouble with those. They seem to wilt a lot for me. So I would love to successfully have one of those thrive because they are so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we have a couple of questions on Zoom. I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. I have a Dracaena, Dracaena, Dracaena.
Dracaena? That's the name of a plant.
What's that?
That's the name of a plant.
Okay. Growing well for almost a year. Congratulations. And has just recently started developing yellow leaf tips and then dying off. The affected leaves are at the bottom of the stem. Is this just normal die off at this time?
It is normal for your leaves to yellow, but a little bit of Epsom salt in your bottom water can help.
Good tip. All
Yep.
right. Let's see. Do orchids grow better as air plants or should they be in soil?
Air plants.
Wow. No,
That's just
Yeah.
from seeing. I have a grand aunt that is an orchid lover, and she has the pergola, and they all just hang from there and they thrive. They're just better off that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try with orchids. I keep them alive for about a year and a half, and then they
Me
tend to
too.
die. Yeah, and so, but I've learned to, one, do not keep them in the pot that you bought them in,
Definitely
because
not.
I made that mistake many times. Repot them, put them in soil that's like made for orchids, so like lots
Yep,
of
with all the
like
bark.
stuff that will, but yeah, so maybe I should try here. All right. There was nothing there. Okay, another one. What is the physics that makes the Epsom salts help with yellow leaf?
I'm not a scientist. I am a plant lover. It works.
This
I have a
Epsom
cane
salt.
plant that has done the same thing. My granduncle suggested it, who is again another plant lover. This runs deep in my blood.
This is deep wisdom.
Yes. So it helps to regain the greenness of the leaves for whatever reason. So, I mean, just a little sprinkle when you bottom water. And if it helps, it helps. If not, those leaves just need to go. It might just be time that they're dying off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they
Alright.
will sprout new sprouts on the side. So maybe those are taking away from it thriving.
Cool. All right. Well, I feel educated. How about you guys? All right. Can we give Talitha a big
I
round of
hope
applause? And I'm going to get back to sharing my slides here and put up her contact information. I really, really suggest that you all go visit her store. Holidays are right around the corner. I'm trying to talk her into coming here for our Luminaria night, so maybe she'll be here. But Rooted with Love on Arlington Expressway, and you can find her at _Rooted with Love on Insta, and all sorts of beautiful, beautiful pictures to see there. And you can also contact her at info@rootedwithlovejax.com.
And just to add to that, the space is no longer the plant shop. We are doing pop-ups and online sales. So you definitely need to follow on Instagram to get all of the updates as to where we will be, or I will be, until we find a new space. Which
Good to know.
hopefully will be a new house.
Great. All right. And with that, I'm going to give you some promos of some future things that we have coming up. The next Horticulture Corner, quite a mouthful, is Dig It. It's with Alan Skinner, who is with a company called Soil Life Organics. and he works with White Harvest Farms, which is part of the Clara White's mission family. And he has done a lot of studying about soil health. And yeah, so, you know, if you are treating the plants, you're treating the symptom and not the
Definitely.
you know, the original sin. But if your soil is healthy, your plants will be healthy. You can grow amazing vegetables like these and many other things. So come check that out. That is on December 7th, so a month from now. We also have, I'm going to give a little shout out to this one coming up in February because it's so cool. It is Bird Habitats with Jody Willis of Duval Audubon Society. She's going to be talking about how you can grow groceries for birds. And if you
wow.
care for birds, the rest of the world does better, including all the pollinators. So it's all about the birds. So you definitely want to learn more about that. We have a really great program called Fun with Flowers. This one is the most popular. It is selling out very quickly. If you want to come, we have 2 of these on December 2nd. So you're going to learn how to make beautiful holiday decor, and you're going to make some, and you're going to take it home with you and put it on your table or give it as a gift. So a morning class and an evening class, sign up for it. It's really fun. I've done this every year that I've been here, and it's always a real blast. We have a budding gardeners program, which is really fun. It's for children in grades 1 through 6. The next one is coming up on November 13th. It is with Clara White Farms, White Harvest Farms and Clara White Mission. They're going to be teaching you how to grow your own vegetables. You're going to plant one and take it home with you. And you're going to get to do a taste test of some vegetables that make great side dishes.
Yeah.
So Clara White is going to make some great food. So that is a great program to come to. And then the next one for budding gardeners is called Natural Holidays, and it's going to be a crafting extravaganza, all made with natural materials.
Ooh.
So that will be really fun. That is coming up on December 11th. And then the Luminaria Festival. If you haven't been to the Luminaria night in Riverside, Avondale, you really should see it. It is a sight to behold. We have been doing this for the last couple of years, and we partner with Go Tuckin, who will be doing holiday lights rides that start and stop here. Those tickets are selling fast, so if you want to go to this, you better get those tickets fast. But the event here is free. There'll be a holiday bazaar. There'll be drinks out on the porch. There'll be games. It'll be really fun. Oh, we'll have a holiday DJ as well. So come to all of those programs. There's so many reasons to come to the Garden Club, and we hope that you will be back. Also, we would like you to take a survey about today's program because we want your feedback. It's really important to us to hear from you. It's so important, in fact, that we have this QR code that we want you to scan. You can either scan it right there, or there's one on the back table that Molly will share with you. If you're at home, you're going to get the link, or you can scan it right off the screen. This is a new tactic we're using because we really want to hear your feedback, okay? Once again, I want to thank the Jessie Ball DuPont Fund for making hybrid programs like this possible. And I want to thank all of you for being here, all of you on Zoom for being here, and my partner Daniel, and our speaker Talitha, and Wally back in the back. We're so happy to have you here. And if you weren't here, we would just be speaking to ourselves, which is really no fun at all. So
Thank you all.
Thank you. Everybody give yourselves a big round of applause. Good night, everyone.